if you want the 8 precepts, we'd like to come at 10 o'clock to the interview place, and I can give it to you there.
And you don't do otherwise?
No, the other ones are fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Eight o'clock, time for the morning talk. Is it all set up? Good, excellent. So I did promise stage 2 of that 1,000-petal lotus simile. When someone was asking me this earlier about precepts, I never gave the 8 precepts, did I? I never gave the 5 precepts. I never gave any precepts. You know, one of the reasons for that is because I remember going to these ceremonies many times. And there was one time that somebody took 13 precepts. And even I did not know what are 13 precepts. I think for many of you I may have explained them before. The 13 precepts, the fellow who was taking them, it was on a Wesak day. And he said, well, I take the 8 precepts in the morning and the 5 precepts in the afternoon. Because that's the gab. Because the main difference between the 8 precepts and the 13, sorry, the 8 precepts and the 5 precepts. In the 8 precepts, you can't eat anything in the afternoon or evening. There's no entertainment, and there's no luxurious furnishings. That's the difference. So he said, well, the main precept, which people find difficult, is the not eating in the afternoon. So to keep the 8 precepts in the morning, when it doesn't really matter, and the 5 precepts in the afternoon. And the second thing which I saw with the precepts, this was in Thailand. I couldn't believe my eyes. You saw the people keeping the precepts. You usually put your hands up in Anjali. They put one finger down. I'd never seen that before. But when they put one finger down, they still chanted all the 5 precepts. I said, what do you put one finger down for? Well, today I'm only keeping 4 precepts. So they're still doing the chanting, but they won't do it with sincerity. And then when I looked in many other ceremonies, I stopped looking after a while because it was very disappointing. And some people had 2 fingers down. Some people had all the fingers done. What's the point of doing it if you don't mean it? And my own story of the precepts is, as I told you, I just didn't know where to go to expand my understanding of Buddhism. And eventually I started going to the Thai temple, because I actually knew where it was. The Sri Lankan temple was much closer, but I hadn't got a clue where it was located. And the Thais were kind of welcoming, and they were like happy. And so when I started going down there, about after a year of going to that temple, one of the monks just asked me, he said, "You've been coming here a lot now. It's about time you took the 5 precepts." And honestly, I asked him, "What are the 5 precepts?" And he said, number 1, you don't kill any living being. And I said, "Look, I'm what's it called? I'm a vegetarian now. I try my very best." I really upset my mum, because every time that she fried a sausage or something, I took the frying pan, scrubbed it clean about 3 times before I could fry my veggie burger or whatever I ate then. And really gave her a hard time. And that's what's the thing with mothers. You really, really, really respect them. And the one thing which I did to my mother, which I thought, "Oh, you stupid young man," was, when I was a monk. I went to visit her, and the university had, since I left there, I didn't collect my MA. Please, what's an MA, not a MSc? Because they don't give out, BScs and MScs and stuff. They only give out the MAs, BAs. They're so particular about tradition. But anyhow, and then she said, "Oh, here's the certificate you got from Cambridge." And I said, "Well, I don't need it anymore, I'm a monk." So right in front of her, I tore it up. And I thought that's what a monk should be doing, not attached to anything in the world. My mother didn't do anything, she just looked at me and was quiet. When I went into the room to meditate, when I came out again afterwards, I saw she got all the little pieces of that certificate from the bin, put them all in a nice place, and started sellotaping them together. I felt so stupid. That degree was not for me, that was for my mum. First time anyone in the family got a university certificate, and that meant so much to her. I learned a lot from that, though. Said sorry and let her keep the certificate wherever she wanted. But anyhow, where was I going with this again? Oh yeah, the precepts. As a vegetarian, to get the first precept, and I never stole anything. Every time I used to go on buses in London, that, as a student, like a young man, a lot of the time they wouldn't ask for any fare because they would think you got a pass, which they gave to young people if they're going to school a long distance away. But then when they never asked for my fare, I felt terrible. And someone's got to pay for that fare, and that bus driver has to be paid somehow. And so I'd always volunteer the fare, even when I wasn't asked. I couldn't stand cheating or stealing. It came kind of natural. I always say I did have a girlfriend, only one at a time. Couldn't afford it. It's really expensive. They were. There's one of the people over here I told that story to, and he was a young man, his first girlfriend, and I told him that story. I said, "Oh yes, that's so true." He lost all his savings, little by little. But he hadn't got a job yet. But anyway, now he has, so he's fine. And what was the next one? About lying. Have you ever lied to anyone? How does it feel? It feels awful. You're cheating someone you care for. I just couldn't do that anymore. I'd always tell the truth, no matter what. And this is one of my tangents again. sometimes I kind of wondered, what is the cause for lying? Why do really good people lie to people they love and trust? Have you ever experienced that in your relationships when a partner doesn't tell the truth? That really hurts. So I started contemplating, and the solution came when there was one of the disciples came to see me on a Saturday after the meditation class in Perth, and they say, I'm in big trouble. And I asked, what's happened? And she looked around to make sure that no one else could hear her. She was pregnant with her boyfriend at university. And I said, the first thing I said was, have you told your mum and dad yet? And she said, no, that's what I've come to see you for. Can you please tell them? Just like you, I laughed. But I appreciated her trust. Her no monk. She slept with her boyfriend and something went wrong and now she was pregnant. But then from that I started contemplating, why is it, that, in that situation, why are you afraid to tell your mum and dad? Your mum and dad are the people who can really help you. Why are you afraid? She said, because what she said, they'd kill me if they found out. They'd never kill anybody, they'd just be very upset and angry. And they've conditioned her to be so afraid of telling the truth to the people that love her and she loves them. And I thought, I did tell their parents, and I told them off. Why is it that your child is so afraid to tell you the truth when they really need your help? And they said, of course you don't approve of it as your parents, but these things happen. And if they do happen, for goodness sake, be kind. And I do this now every time I do a marriage ceremony for a couple. I tell them, please, keep that honesty as a core part of your relationship. An important part, a crucial part. So that if any one of you has anything to confess, you tell the other partner. You say, look, I'm really sorry, but this is something I did I shouldn't have done. But please forgive me, and I won't do it again. A lot of times people say, Ajahn Brahm, you're a monk, you don't know what the world is like. Yeah, you forgive them, they'll do it again. So you don't just do a forgiveness, you put them on parole. Consequences. So you say, if you come home late from work or anything, I want a proper reason why. For the next, say, 6 months parole. I want all the passwords to your electronic devices, and you don't have any secret devices. And so just so I can regain that trust again. There's a couple here, and that works so beautifully for them. He was, I don't know why he did that, he went to one of these brothels in Perth. And he had the receipt in his pocket when his wife took his jacket over to be dry cleaned. And she found it. And when she discovered it, he admitted it straight away, look, I'm sorry, I still really love you. And I will never do that again. And they came to monastery. And so they wanted some help from me. And he bowed to the Buddha statue, bowed to me, promised never, ever, 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 ever to do that again. And she said, no, I can't accept that. The trust has been hurt once, it can't be rebuilt. I said, of course it can be rebuilt. We'll put him under parole. I think it was not 6 months, 12 months. And for 12 months, he had to tell her everything he did. If he was late or got caught in a traffic jam, he had to explain and she would check it out. And he was happy to be checked out. And all his devices, he could give her the passwords, so if she doubted, she can always check it. And he was 100% true. for 12 months. And the relationship came back again. And she could trust him again. And he, out of respect, he comes to the monastery, he and her come to the monastery once a week. He's been coming once a week for years now with his wife. And it's wonderful to see that this thing actually does work. But anyway, for parents and their children, have ever you felt that, it's more in your favour to lie than to tell the truth to your mum or your dad? If I told them, it'd get worse. And that's what surprises me. Please, if you've got children or grandchildren, please tell your children who's got a child, please tell them to inform these little ones, school kids or university, please tell them, obviously I care what you do, but please, if it's a serious matter which might sort of hurt me, please tell me. There'll be amnesty. No punishments, no sort of grounding or shouting at you. Please tell me, and we can help find a solution so you never have to do that ever again. Always be honest to your parents. Be honest to your spouse. When you make a mistake, we'll find a solution. With your mum and dad on board, helping you, you can always find solutions. And you have this wonderful idea that some people in this world you can always trust. You don't always have to depend upon the monk and wear that monk out. That's my experience. So why do we lie? And it's because it's in our interest to lie. We get benefits from it, so we think, instead of telling the truth. You always feel much better by telling the truth to someone you trust and finding a solution. So that's why you try and encourage honesty in your close circle of people you live with. There's amnesty. Anyway, that's that precept. And the next precept, that next precept is, I've already mentioned to you the story of, when, out of all places, a university, and kind of the elite group of the university, the scholars, including a Nobel laureate, because everything was free when you went to this scholars' dinner, and people got absolutely drunk. Where's the intelligence in that? That's one of the reasons why I love, telling the story. Oh, actually, I'm not sure, whenever you come into Perth from overseas, have you ever checked the customs form? What you're allowed to bring and what you're not allowed to bring in? One of the things you're not allowed to bring in, surprise, surprise, is holy water. You can't bring it into Australia. And I always wondered why. And this story, I think, is the reason. Many years ago, one of the travellers, they were checking people at random, when they came in. So they asked this guy, can we look inside your suitcase? Yeah, sure. And so he opened up his suitcase and there was some clothes there, a suit. And underneath the suit at the bottom, there was some bottles of whiskey, undeclared. And so they asked him, what are these? Thinking quickly, he said, I've just been on pilgrimage to Lourdes in France. It's a holy place. And so, well, what's this in here? He said, this is holy water from the shrine in Lourdes, for helping with health problems. The customs officer, they're always pretty sort of doubtful. And he took out those bottles. He said, what's written on the outside of these bottles? Johnny Walker. And he said, well, I have to put them in some bottle. You can't sort of let it leak anywhere. It's just 2 empty bottles I had. So I put the holy water in empty bottles of Johnny Walker whiskey. Can I go? No. So he said, let's check it. So he opened the seal and opened the cap on one of the bottles and smelt it. What does that smell like? That's whiskey. And the traveller said, amazing, another miracle. Which is why they don't allow holy water to be transported into Australia. That's my theory. Anyways, so you're much happier, honestly, without having to use all that sort of stuff. Anyway, that's what I found. So,
there's one case where they bought the holy water from India.
yeah?
And they killed some of the fishes when they went to bathe with it near the coast.
Really? Maybe the fishes are where?
One of the coastal regions in Australia.
Oh, in Australia, okay. Those fishes must have been, not piranhas, yes. I'm not sure. Ganges, I never heard that before. Anyway, it must have transformed into whiskey. But anyway, the real holy water is great. It's seen many, many times. We sprinkle the holy water and people take it home with them. And many times you see it actually worked. There's one woman once, she had such a sore throat she couldn't speak. So I took her some of the holy water, and then just an hour or two later, she could speak perfectly. And it wasn't Johnny Walker. Actually, that's the only name of whiskey I know. There must be some more whiskies. But anyhow, let's get back to those are like precepts. And a lot of times, we always do these ceremonies of giving the precepts when we ever start any Buddhist event. And sometimes I rebel against that. If you want to keep the precepts, you know them. And you keep them as a matter of course, automatically. Even when I didn't say them, I was still keeping them. That's what I told the Thai monks. I'm keeping those 5 precepts perfectly, always, at that particular time of my life. And so why do I need to recite them? And the monk said, well, you've got a point, fine. And when you come on a 9-day retreat, or any long retreat, sometimes we keep the 8 precepts. We know the extra ones they are, not eating in the afternoon or evening. But does anyone eat in the afternoon or evening? Here?
Medical condition.
Exactly. If anybody, then they're not joking. They're the ones who bear the karma if they're just making a reason. They need medical extra bit of food in the evening because they take some sort of antibiotics. And you go and take this full 9-course meal. And that's obviously wrong. But over here, again, I know so many of you, I've seen you for years here. I trust you. And that trust is really powerful. That's much better than doing some chanting. Because you see me. And if you've taken something you shouldn't have done in the afternoon, you look at me and I just look at you. Oh. So that's one of the reasons why, for the last 3 or 4 years, unless you ask me, I won't give the precepts. I expect you to keep them. And you keep them really well. The rule about entertainment, that's a kind of a difficult one to keep when I'm leading the retreat. I gave this talk in Melbourne years ago, and then after the talk was given, this guy came up to me. He was a Sri Lankan, but no, his parents had moved to Australia such a long time ago, lived in Melbourne. And he said, Ajahn Brahm, I was really surprised at your talk. You know, the funny stories and jokes which you told, your delivery was perfect. And it was unique. He said, I work on ABC TV, and I also am a stand-up comedian. I think I could give you a job, and you'd be very successful. And he was serious. So you can still do your daytime job, but come and work for us at night time. You can raise a lot of money for your BSWA, and also for Buddhist Fellowship as well, if you want to share it around a bit. I said, no, I'm a monk and I love being a monk. So anyway, have you been entertained on this retreat? Have you broken your precepts? But you can understand the core of those precepts and then be able to have renunciation. Keep your life simple and just eat whatever you need to eat, and don't talk around so much. And any of the funny stories which I say, they're there for a purpose, not to entertain you, but to increase your awareness and understanding. You know, like the story of which story now? Shall I tell another funny story? Okay, I remember telling this story over in KL, Kuala Lumpur, many years ago. And then from Kuala Lumpur I was taken up to Ipoh in a car. So someone was driving me up there. And they had the news on the radio. And on the news presenter said, a funny story. It was a story I told the night before. So I just heard this story. It must have been at my talk. But I don't mind sharing that story. And that story was of the guy over in Australia, over in Sydney. And one evening, it was holiday time, so he had one of the parties for his company. And in that party, they were serving alcohol. And usually, if you drink alcohol, you shouldn't drive. The Australian government have very severe penalties for that. So this guy thought, come on, the chances of getting caught are very low. So he took a chance. He had drunk. And when he was driving home, the police were targeting one very common road, and they blocked it. So basically no escape. If he did a U-turn, they would notice that was an admission of guilt. So he had to wait, and he knew he was busted. And as he was waiting, when his turn came, he had to, in those days, he had to step outside of the car and blow into that breathalyzer tube. And when he stepped out of the car, the police officer gave him the tube to blow into. And he couldn't believe his good luck. At that point, there was a sound of a traffic accident. One of the cars had been going a little bit too fast, and because there was a roadblock, it got into the car right in front of him. And the policeman said, it's more important that I check on this road traffic incident than check your alcohol level in your blood. Get in your car and go home. He came within seconds of being caught and probably losing his license. But the story... How many of you remember this story? Oh my goodness. It's a great story, I can't stop now. We call them these days golden oldies. He got back in the car in the morning. He woke up with a hangover. Someone was ringing his doorbell and not stopping. And so he staggered to the door in his pajamas, and there was 2 police officers outside his door. He was scared. Then he thought, well, I'm not driving now. They can't arrest me when I'm not in my car. And so he said, how can I help you? He said, I would just like to look inside your garage, sir. Standing inside my garage is my car. Hey, sure. So he went to the garage door, opened it with his key, and that's when he almost had the heart attack. Because in his garage, it wasn't his car, it was a police car inside his garage. When they told him, get in your car and go home, he was so drunk he got in one of their cars and drove that home. That's many years ago now. I think he's still in jail. I don't know, I did that bit on. That's not entertaining, that's stories you can tell your friends. You don't need to drink to be happy. Yeah, actually you do. You drink water and orange juice and tea and stuff like that. Anyway, and what now? Okay, that's 28 minutes past. Always when I intend to do part 2 of the 1,000-petal lotus, but I usually, the first half an hour, I usually go and talk about something else. So the 1,000-petal lotus, once you are happy, you get much more mindfulness, more acceptability, more ability to draw things in. So I already mentioned about the simile of the 1,000-petal lotus yesterday. The lotus opens up when the petals are come in contact with the warmth and light from the sun. The warmth and light stand for the kindfulness, the kindness plus the awareness. You're watching something, but kindly. And then it opens up. And in this simile, you are the lotus, you open up. And as you go deeper, did I say something wrong? No, you're sneezing. The Dharma is not to be sneezed at. Sorry. Oh, I came within a nose of enlightenment and blew it. That's an old joke. So anyhow, as you come in close to the 1,000, you get the warmth and light and it start to open up. You go through the body places first of all, the first of the 5 senses. And as you go inside, you do find that when you get to the realm of the mind, how do you know the mind? What is the mind? A lot of times when I teach this as a guided meditation, when the body is relaxed, peaceful, and start to disappear, then you start to notice things like peace. Like right now, are you peaceful? What does peace feel like? What is peace? What's its cause? So as you're getting deep into the meditation, you don't really need to ask these questions. You begin to know them. And so the peace starts growing. And that becomes one of the first things you notice about the mind. About what is peace and what's the cause of peace. Would you like to be peaceful in your meditation? Once you can recognize it, know its value, know its cause, that peace grows quite easily. And then after peace, you become still. It's a deeper sense of peace, stillness. And we talk about that stillness so often in all spiritual traditions, and especially Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism. Be still. And just to add something of interest, it's one of the quotes which I remember as a boy, brainwashed with Christianity, from Psalms. Be still and know that thou art God. That's what he used to say in that Bible. So if you find any Christians giving you a hard time, tell them, be still and know that thou art God. That kind of confuses the hell out of them. It's a powerful saying. The stillness is recognized, and stillness is enjoyed, and stillness is part of the path to freedom. And once your body becomes still, it opens up the possibility to be aware of your mind. And I said that the transition from the body awareness to the mind awareness is very well described in the Anapanasati. It is where the first 4 factors of Anapana, you're watching the breath, calming it down, becoming aware of it. And it's one of those things I'm going to repeat from yesterday. For years I thought, how on earth can you be aware of the breath? Maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, and you got all these other thoughts. Later on as a monk I thought, this is stupid. What I'm asking is just to be aware of the breath. What a simple thing that is. And trying to find out what's the trick of this. And this simile is one thing which really shocked me and changed the way I really looked at the breath. Please excuse me, it's a bit of a coarse simile, personal. After 5 years as a monk, my 6 rains retreat, you had the opportunity to travel wherever you wanted. You didn't need to be under a teacher for the next time, and so for the foreseeable future. And so I travelled to the north of Thailand, where it was cool, and where different type of food, a lot of fried food, because of the cold temperature there, up in the mountains. And I found the perfect monastery for myself. It was literally in the middle of a tea plantation. Up in the mountains, had as much tea as I could ever drink. And the other thing which I discovered for the first time was that kombucha. You know, they put a nasty looking sort of mushroom or something, fungus, inside what they did with sweet tea and let it kind of ferment. And then that's very popular. They sell it in many places. You know what I'm talking about, kombucha tea? I may pronounce it different than others pronounce it, but that was, they gave me some of that every day, the lay people. There was a traffic problem. I always like talking about the traffic problem in that monastery up in the mountains. It was one car a day. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. 1 car a week. And you had to be looking in the right directions to see it. That's the only traffic that was there, up in the mountains. 1 vehicle once a week at a certain time. And most weeks you never saw it. It was quiet, peaceful, hardly any responsibilities. And when I first went there, it was just like a heaven realm for me. My meditation was fine, but then meditation started going to bits. I started getting very restless. And I'm honest with you, so please don't be critical. It has a good ending. I started thinking of ex-girlfriends. I was only 28, 29. My birthday was in the middle of the rains. I was still a young man. I had brown robes on. And I tried to stop all those stupid thoughts. The more I tried to stop them, the more strong they became. It was kind of weird. I wonder if she's still available. No, come on, you're a monk, Ajahn Brahm. Stop talking about this sort of stuff. That's not monastic thoughts. You should restrain yourself. Have you ever heard, about all those techniques of the Buddha to try and restrain your thoughts? Vitaka Santana Sutta. It's so many other nice advice. Nothing was working. I was by myself. I was getting more and more sort of disturbed. And one day I had the idea, there was no one to talk to. I went to the main hall, there's a big Buddha statue there. I bowed 3 times and I said, help. and an idea came in. I was a Westerner, okay? But you Singaporeans, you can understand. I'll do a deal. And the deal was that I would watch the breath and behave for 23 hours of the day, but 1 hour every afternoon, from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I would sit in my hut and I wouldn't restrain my mind at all. Whatever thought came in, I'd let it come in. I thought that was fair enough. If you want to play, mind, 3 to 4 p.m. is your playtime. The rest of the day you behave. It was still as hard as ever to try and sort of make my mind peaceful. Come on, watch the breath, breathe in, breathe out. She was really nice. No, stop it. And then what happened, 3 p.m., I went up to my hut. I was exhausted. Fighting your mind makes you really tired. And so I sat down, leant against the wall, and said, okay, whatever you want to think about, you may. I'm not going to stop you. You know what happened? No exaggeration. For the next hour, I watched every breath without missing one. It was so easy. That's not what I expected at all. And that taught me a lot about why people find it hard to be still. Because you're fighting the mind, you're trying to control it, trying to make it still. And the mind doesn't become still that way, not even the body. Not even diseases disappear. Too often in my monk life, I've had the opportunities to be sick. If you want to be sick, body, fine. I'm just going to sit here and rest and relax. You can go and be sick if you wish, my own body. It doesn't get sick. You know how to relax with your body, to heal it, to let it be. All those sicknesses which you have, the fevers, the aches and pains or whatever, that's your body's mechanism of healing itself. Telling you, please, just allow me to be hot, because I'm burning off all the bacteria or whatever it is. Or like I said, I think yesterday, that sometimes during the COVID season or the flu season, sometimes I feel that I need to go to sleep. I don't fight my body's sleepiness anymore. What was happening? Yeah, nice rest the night before, and you were just writing a letter or something, and then it's just so hard, I'm so tired. No reason for it. I already had a good sleep the night before. But then I thought, let's experiment. I went to my bed, lay down, said, "What if you want to go to sleep, go to sleep." I lay down, and when it was exactly the right time, I know when it's the right time now, through experiment, through mindfulness, understanding your body. And then after a while, actually not after a while, after 0 while, if that was the right time, I'd lay down, head hit the pillow, and fall fast asleep. About 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then when you get up and wake up, then you feel just so energized. I think, do they call that power naps now? Is that what that means? I don't know, because this is what I did and discovered. And I'm pretty sure that you're about to get sort of a fever or get sort of a COVID infection or something, and that's you avoided it. The body knew, and it was kind of asking me, driver, Ajahn Brahm, please, take a rest. And when I followed it, after 45 minutes, woke up, and the body said, thank you. I was working with my body, not against it. These are some of the things I found out, how, to heal yourself. And from that time on, I realized how to watch my breath as well. Never through any force. And then sometimes my mind would sort of try and test me. Say, just have a 5 minutes. And usually it used to go on for half an hour, with fantasies and stuff. But then, 5 minutes, okay, if you want to, that's fine by me. I never fought my mind. And after a while, my mind, I could understand it. My mind kind of thought, I don't want to fight this monk, he's not fighting me. So we became the best of friends, literally. So it was like we hung out together for hours. We never wanted to part. My mind never wanted to run off and wander off. And I was quite happy staying with that mind, and the mind was happy staying with me. When I described it like that, it's pretty accurate in my experience. So you can stay with your breath, and sometimes the breath got so peaceful. I'm not tired. I was not tired. So peaceful you can get into these beautiful states of meditation. That's like when you get into the more central parts of the lotus flower, which is you. It's beautiful. And you're having a good time staying there. That's one of the reasons why I do, again, have these teddy bears. Do you like your teddy bear? Or whatever else you have? The big one. Hi. And is it hard to stay with a teddy bear on your lap? Is it? It's kind of comfortable. It's enjoyable. That's like being with your breath, having a breath to look after. And after a while it becomes so peaceful, it stays with you. You don't want to leave it. It doesn't want to leave you. That's where the mind stops wandering around. And you're still on a very beautiful, happy object. And once you're still like that, it's only again a matter of time. Your mindfulness is right and pretty central, and that breath becomes beautiful. That's where I got up to last time. The delightful breath, the piti sukha coming up with the breath. And sometimes I enjoy when I look at you and you're meditating, and if someone is meditating properly and they have piti sukha, they've got a silly smile on their face. And I love seeing that silly smile on their face. I don't need to read your mind. You're showing me what's happening inside. And very, very happy. I saw one of the meditators this morning, just at the end of the morning session, when I was walking out for breakfast. They had a nice smile on their face. I was quite understanding what they were going through. Yeah, go, girl, go. Get into it, get more. That's what happens. So you get into this beautiful piti sukha, and the piti sukha is a chitta sankhara. It's where you transfer your main objects of awareness of the mind. And the ninth stage, you're going deeper in to the 1,000-petaled lotus, and these out from the delightful breaths, they open out into what we call these nimittas. These nimittas, I don't know why people refuse to accept they exist. The Buddha gives a whole sutta about them, the Upakalesa Sutta, describing them and their problems. I remember just one of those problems. I think I mentioned it in brief. Sometimes these are similes, because it's hard to actually describe the mind. We don't have the language developed. And so you're walking down a path, maybe at twilight, so the light is not that good, and then 2 murderers jump out of the bushes and try to kill you. They're not murderers, they won't harm you, but sometimes that's what it feels like. You feel like things are being destroyed in these nimittas. What's being destroyed? Not really destroyed, but you're moving away from experiences which you know, you feel comfortable with, to places where you've never been before. And it can be scary. You don't have to be scared, but it's natural you are. Many of your defenses, like thought Thought is one of your security devices. Sense awareness, like especially the ears. Sound is your last security alarm. And when you abandon hearing, which happens naturally, you can't hear anything anymore. You can't think. That can be scary at first. But imagine what you're doing here, just meditating. You're sitting here, closing your eyes. You haven't got a clue what other people are doing. And as you really get into the meditation and your hearing starts to disappear, you can't hear if anybody's sneaking up on you, maybe taking away all your possessions, maybe just taking away your clock, your alarm clock or your wristwatch, so you can't see the time. Sometimes that feels scary. Even like all of you who've given up your mobile phones. It's not just giving up your mobile phones, it's giving up, the telephone. It can be a security alarm for you. And giving all that up means you trust all the managers of this retreat. They can be up to all sorts of nefarious stuff. Is PJ an honest man? Serena? Wife? Is he? And that's a wonderful thing. You trust each other here. And hopefully you trust me. You know me for I don't know how many years now. And on the Katina day, those of you who are here, actually not the Katina day, even on Friday, you can go and look inside my cave and see all my possessions, see where I live. Please look under the blankets, under the mattresses, see if you can find any contraband there. Nothing there. So it makes you feel safe. And this safety is an important part of the meditation because you let go of many of your reassuring senses and strategies as you go deeper into the meditation. And as you go deeper, all the thoughts disappear. You become still. And your senses disappear, except the sixth sense. There was once a simile, which I mentioned in one of those books. It's hard to find similes, but that was of Alice Through the Looking Glass, I think it was. And Alice, no, that's the wrong one. Yeah, it was, I think, Alice Through the Looking Glass, or Alice in Wonderland, one of the two. And that was when Alice was complaining about this Cheshire cat. And this Cheshire cat was appearing suddenly and then disappearing suddenly. They said it gets very confusing to see you come and go so quickly. So the Cheshire cat, out of compassion, said, okay, I will disappear slowly this time. So the cat was on a tree, and the cat started to vanish slowly. And then just the head of the cat left. And as the head of the cat left, it was still there, but no other body of the cat. And the cat was looking at Alice. Then the cat's ears disappeared. And then seeing just the cat without any ears. And the cat's cheeks disappeared. And then I might get in the wrong order. And then the cat's whiskers disappeared. Just leaving this little smiling mouth. And then the cat's lips disappeared. But not the smile. The smile remained, without any head doing the smiling. And that's when Alice replied, I've often seen a cat without a smile. This is the first time I've seen a smile without a cat. And a lot of people just pass over that. But I thought that was brilliant. That was actually showing what happens in deep meditation. Imagine your smile, your happiness is there, but nothing being happy. This is not a Zen trick, nice, clever use of words. This is actually one of the best descriptions of what happens in meditation when you're going into that lotus, which is you. Things on the outside are vanishing. You can't feel your breath anymore. You feel the smile, the bliss, a mental object. And when that sort of happens, then you're in that third tetrad of Anapanasati, experiencing the mind, the citta. This is the mind, you're seeing it. Not with your eyes, experiencing it, getting to know it. It's beautiful. That's one of the things which everybody, I never heard of anybody or experienced anybody saying this mind is something awful and terrible and painful. This is how it appears to you, mostly because where you've come from, very difficult. Now you're like freed from jail. You feel a lot of freedom. And when that mind, the next thing which happens naturally, it's a word, I'd say the English translation, that you have confidence and even more joy in that nimitta, which is how you see the mind. To have confidence in it. Every time you doubt in things, you disturb it. And when you have confidence, it stays, it gets more beautiful. And the next stage is samadhahang cittang, which is to keep it still. And I will share these stories with you, because these were the natural insights which happen. When I was developing these nimittas, they were strong, but they would never stay still. So just quite naturally, one morning, I was shaving my beard, just a stubble on my chin, which I always have to do. And because I'm a senior monk now, people are often looking at me, or photographing me, or having me on a CCTV. These days I don't care that much, but in those days you always wanted to be presentable. Like that one time when I went, I was working here in Bodhinyana Monastery, concrete work, which I love. And so I finished the work and really looking dirty and scruffy. And then I was going to my room to take a quick shower before lunch. And then it's a really weird sound I heard. I thought it was an ice cream truck. Ding, 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 ding. And then I investigated it, and it was like a Sri Lankan lady, high class, dressed up with all these bangles. And that's why I thought it was the ice cream truck. Ding, ding. Honestly, that's what I thought. And when I investigated it, she was well dressed up, with a very nice sari and stuff. And she asked, and I've come here to see Ajahn Brahm. Do you know where he is? And I thought very quickly, and I said, I think if you go down to the lunchroom over there, he'll be there in a short time. Thank you. And off she went, and I quickly went to the room, had a shower, put on some clean robes, and went to talk to her. And then at the end of the talk, I had to finish to go for the lunch. And she said, "That's a wonderful talk. You've got such a beautiful monastery. If you don't mind me saying, I met one of your monks on the way here, and he really looks scruffy. And that's not appropriate in a Buddhist monastery like yours." So thinking quickly, I said, "Never mind, madam, I will talk to him later." And I don't lie, I do talk to myself. The point was, she couldn't see that there was Ajahn Brahm underneath there. All that cement dust and stuff. So anyway, on that occasion when I was just brushing my teeth in the morning, and just you looked at your reflection, shaving your beard, look at your reflection in the mirror, and then kind of you get these insights, and then you hold the mirror straight, stiff, with your fingers, and the image in the mirror still moved. And I realized that's what I've been doing to try and still the nimitta, trying to hold it still. That doesn't work. Don't hold the mirror still. It was kind of like the image of the person watching had to be still. So when I kept that still, the image in the mirror was still. Now that may seem something obvious to you, but that was just the whole key of how to keep the nimitta still. And they really got really brilliant. And now from there, you go deeper into the lotus. Either through the nimitta or the nimitta surrounds you, and you merge right into it. And that becomes the experience of the jhanas, the first jhana. It's beautiful, brilliant. But on the way in, it's very easy to get scared. These are powerful states of mind, more powerful than you. So, can you handle all this incredible energy and power? And the answer is yes. Go for it. You'll never regret it. I remember kind of like one time, I hope I'm not going too far, you think, no, I know this monk who told me the story. It was on the edge of the nimitta, on the edge of jhanas. I think it's too much for me. I can't do it. But it looks so nice in there. I can't. But it's right there. No, I can't. Why not? Oh, what the hell? I can't tell you about personal experiences. That's against our rules. So this was a monk I knew very well. I'm really on the edge of breaking my rule. But I get frustrated sometimes. There's amazing experiences, and why can't I? So anyway, I think I made the points. And you get inside these jhanas. And the first jhana, inside of it, you haven't got a clue, to describe it, because your mind can't form concepts. You're too still. Really still. Words actually can't even come up. So you're really blissing out. Then maybe that lotus, you can even go deeper than that first jhana, but it happens, it transforms. It's only afterwards when you emerge. There's one thing which I want to impress upon you on these deep meditations. Your awareness is so strong in there, more aware than you are now, which means that when you emerge afterwards, you just ask yourself, what was that? And you can re-experience it so easily. Your memory is fantastic. You just need to, when you come out and your mind can move, you ask yourself, what was that? The best simile which I have for this, when I was a kid, they used to have these game shows and quiz shows. And they'd take something like this stick over here, and they'd make a picture of it, just end on. And they'd ask you, what is this? All you see was like a circle, isn't it? 3 little things on the end. What is it? And if you couldn't move it this way, that way, or whatever, you couldn't understand what it was. I remember one of the famous ones was like a pencil, which had been sharpened. A little black dot, and then some brown stuff on the outside, and then a bit of red on the outside of that. And that's all the information you had. You couldn't understand what it was. It was a pencil, just end on, without moving. And that's like it's kind of the jhanas. So still, unmovable. And at the time, you don't know where you are. Only you're having the time of your lives. Not the time of your life. I like that addition there, time of your life. Enjoying it to the max. But when you come out afterwards, you ask, oh, what was that? Oh, that's what that was. No sound. Can't hear, can't see, can't feel. Can't smell or taste. These states by what has gone missing. That's what I tell the monks these days. If you do have a deep meditation, don't ask, what you were experiencing. Ask what had disappeared. What wasn't there? That's much more informative. And so you go really deep. And you can't go, the deeper jhanas, you can't go for 5 minutes. That's hours stuff. And the effect it has on your mind is enormous. A lot of times, any sicknesses you have just seem to vanish. I haven't got a clue why, but as if the mind is all you're really experiencing, and your body kind of looks after itself. And so it's fantastic. So when you come out afterwards, also your mindfulness is so strong. So strong you can see much more. That's why I keep giving the examples of the number 2 cubicle in the monks' quarters. Yeah. You don't fake this. You just, so much stuff you see, or just a little blade of grass somewhere popping up between the bricks. Wow, it's amazing. Have you ever seen its shape and how it's formed and its colours? Your mind is being amplified, enhanced, and mindfulness becomes enormous. So imagine what it can do when you start contemplating things like anicca or dukkha, anatta. Anicca, what's gone? What's disappeared? And things you never ever thought could disappear have. Dukkha, in that state you've just been in, so many things were missing, including a lot of physical pain, itches, disturbances, and all that stuff which we are concerned about and worried about in life. Is that all really important? We think it is, been taught it is, but in deep meditations, all of that just disappears. Not important at all. So much dukkha vanishes. You've just been into it. You may think that Jhana Grove is a wonderful resort. These meditations are much more powerful resort. And they're always available. You don't have to go overseas for jhana. Sit inside your room in Singapore somewhere. Just get in there and just have fun. So, these are what you experience, which means you're really understanding things like dukkha and anatta. Many people find it so hard to understand what Ajahn Brahm meant by why there's nothing. And they say that's like nihilism. It's not nihilism. Nihilism is when we think things have been destroyed. There was nothing there to begin with. And I'll finish off with, I've got to finish sometime. I'm sorry for always going over. But the story of Vajragota. And he was, I think the Buddha was giving him a teaching about the fire. That was Vajragota Sutta. But instead of talking about fire, I change it. I'm not sort of I'm not disrespecting the Buddha's teachings. I want to try and make them easy to understand. So I tell the simile of a candle flame, instead of like a fire. The flame of a candle, what is it? The flame of a candle is a result of 3 causes: the wick, the wax, and the heat. When those 3 come together, there's enough wick in that candle, enough wax to fuel that flame and heat, then you see a flame. If any one of those causes stop. For example, just a wind blows the flame out, blows the heat away. The wax is all used up, or the wick dries up. Any one of those three causes stops, then the flame disappears. That's where the Buddha asks, well, where does that flame go? Do flames get reincarnated like human beings? If you've been a very good flame, we can go to like some nice heaven realms of flames where they just dance around merrily, creating beautiful patterns in there for anyone who can observe them. If the flames have been very evil, do they go to some hell realms where they burn people all the time? Where do flames go when they go out? Are they annihilated? Do we ever say that? You say, it doesn't apply. That's how the Buddha replied. It just goes out. It finishes. Was caused and impermanent ceases. That's why they use the word cessation. Not annihilated. Something was happening, doesn't happen anymore. And that's you. One day, you're not annihilated. You're enlightened. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hee hee hee. Oh, I enjoy my life. Actually, it's not my life, that's why I enjoy it. We have interviews now.
Reminder, today 4 o'clock, Ayah Chanda will be here to have some, as well as, is she answering any questions?
Yeah. So special questions in the front.
Yeah.
There are questions that are really quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
Can anybody ask a question?